Hi, I'm Anna White, and check out the newest project that I just made. This is actually a new desk for me to do all of my blogging and my project plans from. We live in a really small space, so all I had to work with was this 6-foot wall. My daughter's bed is actually on the other side of the room, and she wanted me to be less intrusive. So I had to come up with a office configuration that was as narrow as possible and also take up a lot of the height. So this is what I came up with. I really love it. It was a really easy build because these are all 1x boards. So I didn't have to do any edge band treatment or rip any plywood on a table saw. It was just grab your board, cut, add the ends, and add the sides. Another feature that I really like is the sides are 1x3s, which are pretty inexpensive. So it saved a lot of money over using, like a 1x12 or plywood on the sides because the sides are open. I also love that the shelves are different widths, so you can put different sized items on different levels. It's really handy and helps me stay a little bit more organized. And I like the open system because I can add some of my favorite decor and some of my favorite books, then also keep baskets for other items. So I really love how this project has turned out, and I think you will too. In this video I'm going to show you how I built it.
I built all the shelves first. Here's a shelf bottom, and then I added it back with nails and glue, and then sides. And then I just built all of the different shelves first. Then I cut the sides with a 5-degree angle at the top and the bottom, and added a back piece, and then added in all my shelves. I actually built 2 of the bookshelf pieces, and then went back and built a desk piece to sit in the middle. Very easy project. So I cut all my boards with a compound miter saw. You will need to cut angles for the back legs. Back legs are cut at a 5-degree angle, but you'll also need to take it 90 degrees off of that 5-degree angle, a little piece so it sits flush to the back of the wall. I just marked the line with my speed square and then cut on the line with my circular saw. Okay, so now it's time to start building all of those shelves. You can see in the background that I've got, this is the last one, I've got them all done. I love this project because all of the shelves were just boards, so I didn't have to rip any plywood or do any edge banding. It was just take your 1x board and whatever width it was, nail the back on. And one thing I'd like to see here is all of the backs and all of the shelf widths will be the same, so I actually set up my saw so that it had a stop block. So I didn't have to, measure each back and each shelf bottom. I just put the board on the saw where it butted up against the stop block and cut. So I just nailed and glued. Make sure you use glue with nails. It's very, very important because the nails will give out. And here's all of my shelves done. You'll notice the wider width shelves, those are actually 2 1x8s. I pocket hold those together with 3/4 inch pocket holes and 1 1/4 inch pocket hole screws. So here we are with the stain. I chose Varathane Early American. I really, really love this color. I feel like it's just a good medium brown that goes with everything and is very in. It's very easy to apply. You don't need to do any pre-treatment. Just wipe it on, not blotch it all. For the clear coat to protect it, I use Watco liqueur. And then now it's time to assemble. So forgive me, I'm on Sunday, so I'm not necessarily in building attire, but didn't have a lot of time. So to put the backs together and the sides, I use pocket holes on the back side where you won't see, and then I lean those up against my garage wall, and then I set my first shelf in. The first shelf is actually 9.5 inches high. So I just measured up 9.5 inches and then used a level. You don't have to be exact where this shelf is placed, but it does have to be level. It's very, very important that this shelf is put in level because all of the other shelves on top of it will be based on how well this one's installed. I'm just using 1 1/4 inch self-tapping wood screws on the outsides here. Then I cut 2 blocks that are 11 inches tall, and they were just scrap plywood pieces. I believe they were about 8 inches wide, but you could use just about anything here. I just used those as spacers, and then I brought my shelf in so it was flush against the back wall, sitting on top of those spacer blocks. Checked it with my level. It was level, so I didn't have to do any adjusting. Make sure your blocks are square. Like, this will not work if your blocks are just slightly off or not the same length, so be very careful about the blocks that you use. And then again, 1 1/4 inch screws on the inside. If you're using like really long spans, like say you're going 3 foot in span, you may want to add another 1x3 board underneath the shelf, perhaps using pocket holes just for more support. The 4 screws here they're fine for, you know, probably 40 pounds a shelf. That would be 10 pounds a screw. That's totally fine. But if you're planning on, you know, loading up a really long shelf with books, you may want to consider adding additional support. So I just continued on. Here's the desk section. It's the same exact construction techniques. I just used less shelves basically and placed them at different spots. I'm publishing the plans, which will show exactly where each shelf goes, so you can get desk height and everything spaced out just right. So here's the finished product. I really, really love it.
So a couple of things before you start building yours. You can definitely go wider on these shelves and it wouldn't increase the amount of work at all, but I wouldn't go wider than 3 feet. Just because your 1x boards may start sagging at that point depending on how much weight you're putting on the shelves. And I find this size, I have about 32 inches here to work, is pretty perfect for just a computer, a keyboard, and a mouse, and maybe a cup of coffee. So if you want to put anything else on your desk, maybe go a little bit wider, but I wouldn't go too much wider unless you support underneath with a board, which you could easily do. And I would love to see if you build this, how you customize it and make it your own, and what color you paint or stain it. So please do share if you build. Thanks so much for watching. On to the next project.